want to thank all the people listed here. Without them, I could have most likely become something worse. And the mentioned videos, I'll give the link. I grew up a very extreme Christian. I had a lot of hardships within religion ever since coming upon the Amazing Atheist and Mr. Rebzion, and the whole skeptic community in general. I learned to throw religion away and stop caring. There's good people and bad people, you know? But this isn't what the video is about. Christianity is practically old news now. And it is. My point is, I became very pro-LGBT. Because back then, yes, there was a struggle in my time. Remember when TJ was speaking about Tennessee in 2011 and 2013? Yeah, I go back that far with him. And stuck with him till this very day. I don't know how far I go back with him. But I do remember when that video first came out. Love you, TJ. So after that, and being part of a silent YouTube audience, I took a break from YouTube, and for about a year, I was very strong in LGBT, and it became the thing I was most interested in. I believed that gays, lesbians, and transsexuals weren't represented in stories that often, so I decided to create my own. Which there is nothing wrong with that. It's the fact that I had to represent them and was sick of everyone being straight and white. So I was doing a cool thing, but for a stupid reason. I was that type of person. And it got worse when I entered a political activist group. These political activist groups mostly act as social hookups for SJWs. That's really all it was. We had discussions and emailed some politicians, but mostly had fun at coffee shops and movies. When I got into this, my depression came back. I wasn't your typical screaming SJW who protested inside of college campuses or anything like that. No, I was quite the outcast to them, and I was convinced that that was where I fit in. I was among fellow outcasts, even though they treated me as an outcast. An outcast to the outcasts. What a life. Nobody was stereotypical either. I mean, no one had that colored hair. They didn't scream and cry, but they definitely didn't like the debate. I considered myself multigender and bigender, which mean the exact same thing. Now, they weren't insensitive to my problems of depression and suicide, being bisexual and biracial, and other problems in my life, but they were too sensitive about it. And why do I say this? We need to accept people for who they are. That was going through everybody's minds, including me. That was probably my only argument at the time. Personally and mentally, I wasn't getting any better. In fact, I was getting worse because we had discussions about white privilege, and since I'm part white, the other half of me is Filipino, but I am part white and part man at the time because being bigender, I had both male and female traits. I'm supposed to be guilty for everything I had and for what my ancestors did. I had to feel sorry for them, and I apologized to the women in the group. In which, I take back that apology now. Fuck you. Yes, I said it. Tell your friends. I apologized for all the rape and the pay gap that was happening. That was the topic back then. I had this internal misogyny and racism, and they'd all criticize my stories. It was nice. You know, it didn't come across as mean or anything like that, but it would be about stupid stuff, like this one character that I had, who was very shy, helpful, a good person to talk to, caring, sensitive, nurturing, and feminine. And she's actually the one who freaking saves the main hero from his depression and suicide. It was a forbidden love concept in a pre-apocalyptic story. That's what it was. They even criticized my strong woman character for being too masculine. Yeah. It's like there was no pleasing them. There was no pleasing them. And so you can't win. You just can't win. You can never win with an SJW. So I gave it up for a while and stuck with the group, all depressed. I was so depressed and so guilty. And I'm a sensitive guy. This wasn't good for my mental health. It was like religion all over again. It was religion all over again. It was. I was very ignorant at the time. I didn't even fully get the ideas of genders and pronouns. I just kind of went with the flow. It was new to me at the time. It was new. I didn't really fully get the whole entire idea. I was like only very simple at it. And then what happened, I started to get into YouTube again. I wanted to see what was going on with TJ and Mr. Rebzion, you know, because I had some good times with them, with all the Christian debates and all that type of stuff. Oh, I miss those days. Does anyone else miss those days? I miss those days. But what was shocking to me is that they were all against the new genders and pronouns. It was just a complete content change. I mean, Mr. Rebzion had his own, you know, little personal issues. I mean, he practically said what he needed to say with Christianity, so, you know, that's understandable. But TJ just made a complete flip. An amazing atheist isn't even talking about Christianity anymore. It's all about feminism, and introduced me to all these new terms such as safe spaces, otherkin, social justice warriors. God damn, this is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing, but jeez, I don't even want to say it. I got introduced to Sargon of Akkad. And I thought he was an MRA at first. Which, oh god, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe that came out. Which I really looked down on MRAs upon the time too, because, you know, I was ignorant on, I didn't even know what MRAs were. I never heard their perspectives. I just thought they were a misogynist group, full of those neck beards and all that type of stuff. And technically Sargon does have a neck beard, right? Well, anyway, but I saw his videos on He for She. That was a campaign I sadly supported. I was aware of the feminists that TJ criticized in the Christian Times as why I never considered myself a feminist, just pro-LGBT, but I believed that there was a pay gap and that we needed to take extremes to stop rape. It's modern liberal beliefs that are complete lies. They are lies. They're lies. So that's why I supported He for She. It's because it wasn't all about that man-hating type stuff. But really, in reality, Emma Watson is a frickin' hypocrite. The whole campaign is hypocritical. But anyway, maybe I'll make a video on that, analyzing He for She, but Sargon opened my eyes on all the feminist perspectives, and how He for She campaign was a complete hypocrite. I was wrong. I was completely wrong about Emma Watson. That was once I actually sat down and listened to him. And what made me do that is when I heard Rebzion supported him. And I forget what video that was. I think it was one of those Ask Rep videos. I don't know. Then I was introduced to Undoomed and Suit Yourself. How I found Undoomed was I think he was a guest video on The Amazing Atheist, I believe. Yeah, that's when it was. And Suit Yourself was through my suggestion box on YouTube. And I got lucky with him because I got into Milo Stewart when she posted her famous video around that time. You know, I looked at other Milo Stewart videos, and then I saw Suit Yourself in my suggestion boxes, clicked on it, and then boom, found him. So this is what I did. Since I was into him at the time, I'm talking about Suit Yourself, I took the first video of Milo he made, the one with the Archer character, and showed it to them, the group that I was going to. And I was still going to them at the time. It sparked a huge conversation. All of it in a nutshell was about being yourself, meaning defining yourself as a certain gender. I started to disagree, and they didn't want me to disagree. They started to get so defensive and told me that I was being brainwashed by conservatives. So technically, they called you a conservative suit. I don't know if you are a conservative, but you sound very liberal actually. But yeah, they made the assumption that you're a conservative suit. So then I kept up with Suit, and then I showed them another video of his, and since his animation was different, they thought it was a different guy. I showed them a couple of parts of Suit's gender tag video, which we were going on about genders, and I brought up how there was no proof about genders. And this one girl, she considered herself non-binary. I asked them one simple question. If you're non-binary, What makes you non-binary? I want evidence. They told me exactly what everyone else was saying. I don't feel completely masculine or feminine. That's what makes me non-binary. I'm paraphrasing, but you might as well say that. And then I asked, isn't that just a tomboy? I mean, it's okay to be a tomboy. Why can't we just be ourselves as male and female? I have my feminine traits, and that's just normal. Everyone is different. Again, paraphrasing, but I remember this sentence all too well. Why do we have to create and contribute to gender roles? If this was truly an oppressed country, women would still be in the kitchen right now. Now that is a true gender role. In the present day, women are already in charge of big projects, are already leaders. What more do you want? It's always more. Gender roles are gone. No one thinks about them anymore. It's still there, but it's just little crap that defines male and female. It doesn't mean it's generalizing the entire population. I think it's common sense that everyone is different. And now we're bringing them back by assigning new genders to different people based off of our mental traits. I love jewelry. I love eyeliner. And this all just makes me a different type of guy. It's what makes me unique. I don't need to flaunt it everywhere by being multigender. Why do I need a new gender? Why can't I like the things I like and think the way I think and be the sensitive and emotional self I am by being a man? Quit the gender roles. Yeah, I can't believe I got into this. But I was new at the time, so I accepted it. So eventually they got triggered and dropped the conversation, calling me rude and told me to get out in an instant when I've been a part of their group for like 2 months. So I did. And here I am, trying to continue my stories, my passion, and to be offensive as possible in them. And I'm glad I'm out of their group. I'm glad I left. Oh, and Suit, this is what they called you in the on the gender tag video. They called you a bully and compared your animation to a supernaturally defective video because of how bad it is. You know those internet horror stories that are anonymously posted sending unsolved messages to the public? Yeah, they compared your videos to that it was so bad that, yeah. They weren't stereotypical SJWs, but they were weird. They're outcasts. They're weird, socially awkward. and I was at the time. And still sort of am, but I think I've improved since then. So I feel a little empty at this point, but at least I feel better with myself, and that I'm not told that I'm a terrible human being by being half white and a male. Things are just so confusing within the LGBT community now. Ever since they added gender identities into the mix, it's also confusing. I don't, why? Why did we need to take this route? This is not the way to go. If you want to be yourself, then, as Suit said many times, just be yourself. You don't need a gender. What is with all this? Okay, anyway. The thing that kind of disappoints me is that you don't see a lot of SJWs waking up. There's not a lot of them that are waking up. Anyway, so that's my story. It was a small period of time. It's definitely not what you would see in college campuses. It's much lighter than that. And I think that has to do with me starting off with being a skeptic when I was first introduced to atheism, and growing up with the whole debate about Christianity and all that type of stuff, and fighting for LGBT rights. Part of it has to deal with that, but then again, being too much into LGBT made me get into all of this ridiculous stuff. Radical, progressive stuff. That's how I would describe the situation.